The Red Dirt D&D podcast is brought to you by Pro Laser Cuts. The Oklahoma company provides pre-made and customizable design laser cut dice towers, tokens, and more developed by a gamer for gamers and now available to enhance your tabletop game. Pro Laser Cuts products can be found at many Oklahoma City area game stores, local events, and now available online at prolasercuts.com. That's laser and cuts with a Z, Pro Laser Cuts. Welcome to Red Dirt D&D. I'm Michael Cross, and I play Gideon Block, a paladin with a tragic past.
And I'm Kiri Hester, Poppy Tea Leaf, a highborn halfling druid searching for a new life.
I'm Johnny Payne, and I play Zonimus Tanar, a half-elf rogue with a past he can't seem to escape.
I'm Brooke Bullock, and I play Coughran Stone Shaper, a young dwarf sorcerer getting out to understand his own arcane gifts.
And I'm Ash King, your dungeon master. Join us now for Tales from the Calaban Frontier. So far, the last stop has been a warm and welcoming community. After stepping off the train and into the main street of the mid-sized settlements, the people have proven to be very open and eager to help our newcomers get settled and find their way about. Our heroes have a moment to catch their breaths before diving into the impossible task that has been set down before them. There are horses to secure, supplies to purchase, and information to gather. After a quick meeting with Mayor Jonathan Amores, during which our heroes learned that he may have information that could assist them on their journey, the group decided to secure accommodations at the Long Rest Hotel before splitting up to further explore places of interest in the last stop, before tonight's dinner with the mayor's family. So I think we've established where everybody wants to go. Gideon, I believe that you said you wanted to go visit Sheriff Riza.
Riva Braystar.
Zonimus and Coughran, you two were planning to go to the Jumping Jackalope?
You bet.
Yes, ma'am.
Alright. And Poppy, you were planning to go to Tumbleweed Traders.
Yes, I'm going shopping.
Did we give you a shopping list?
I was hoping it was going to be one of those things where I can just say that the shopping list exists but not know what's on it.
I do have a list of things we should probably have.
Because I figure we should give Hannah a list and have her gather these things and get these things together for us before we leave. But I haven't actually met Hannah yet, so maybe she'll have some suggestions.
So, who's first?
How far away time-wise are we from dinner?
You've got probably good 3 or 4 hours. You guys got into town. You did visit the mayor, and that probably took 15-20 minutes tops.
Poppy just came down the stairs dressed for the dinner.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if I was going to have time to change afterwards.
I'm not going to let Poppy go to the store by herself anymore.
You did just take her hand as she came down the stairs.
I did. Where to?
I believe there is a general store just up the street that we could find Treatos for my dog, my wolf. I need Treatos so that he can have dinner while we are also having dinner.
Coughran, you want to join us, or you want to go get a head start on those drinks for us?
Well, I was kind of interested in what's going on at the jail. So if Gideon doesn't matter, you guys could go shopping, and I'll go over there, and then maybe you and I can meet up if there's time, either before dinner or after dinner.
That's fine.
I think that's a good idea. We'll go to our separate places, and then we will meet up at the Jumping Jackalope, maybe say an hour before we're supposed to go over to Mayor Jonathan's and go from there. I guess that's a better idea. That way we can kind of meet up. Once you do, if you all guys could pick up any kind of gear we might need as far as climbing gear and tents, things like that. So I think that's, and at some point we probably got to get a wagon of some kind.
I believe that there are many people who head out to the frontier from this last stop, so I bet that the proprietor of the general store could have a good idea of things that we might find helpful out in the desert.
All right. So Zominus and Poppy, you guys head over to the Tumbleweed Traders, which, again, right across the street from the hotel, not too far. You enter in to a well-lit and well-stocked general store. You see scattered about the area, there are step stools and ladders that make reaching these tall shelves easier for smaller individuals. A pair of twin halfling girls, no older than 6, pop up quite excitedly as they hear the bell to the shop ring as you two enter, and they say, "Welcome to the Tumbleweed Traders!" All pure, chipper smiles and rosy cheeks, hair wild.
Why, hello there. I'm so happy to meet y'all today. My name is Poppy Tealeaf. This is my compatriot Zonimus, and we are in the market for some adventure and supplies. Is there someone here who could help us with that?
Oh yeah, we can help you. We can help you so good. What do you need?
I'm hoping that there's a person who maybe has some experience in outfitting adventurers, which would be able to give us some suggestions on things that we might need.
Oh, we help adventurers all the time, right? Right, Mia? Yeah. Right, Claire?
I would just love to meet your mama and just tell her how great the two of you are. Would that be a possibility?
So, as you're speaking with the twins, a older halfling woman bustles out of the back. She's brushing off her hands and, wiping her hands in her apron. She looks a little bit out of breath and says,
Oh, goodness me, I am so sorry. I was back in the back. Hannah Good, how can I be of service?
It is no problem at all. Your twins here were just being so helpful and eager, and I just wanted to say that you have done an excellent job making these little cowgirls exactly helpful as they need to be.
Oh, well, thank you so much. They're a handful, but...
I do not doubt you at that at all.
She kind of gently ruffles, their hair and just, okay, now go play. And just ushers them off to the back.
My name is Poppy Tealeaf, and this is my compatriot Zonimus, and we are a part of a small group of adventurers who are heading out to map the Caliban frontier for the Black Hands Rail Line.
Goodness.
Yes, and we were hoping that you could help us gather up some supplies that you might think that we might need out in the desert.
Oh, well, of course, that's exactly why I'm here, is to help folks and get them what they need. And now, let me see here.
And she actually kind of, she pulls over a parchment that she has that's like, like when you go online and you find like those, here is the checklist that you need for your hiking trip.
I see those on BuzzFeed.
Yeah, she has that. And it's just like recommended gear for frontier journeys that she looks through and just...
Now, how many people total are there in your party?
We've got myself and Zonimus, and then we also have our dwarven friend Coughran, and our much larger... He's bigger than us, but he's still regular sized. He's like 3 of me.
But real stiff.
Yeah. Point of the story is...
He's real stiff. I think he fell on something one day and it got stuck somewhere. How he walks sometimes. I'll tell you what, why don't you just make it enough for 5? And I want to add a couple of extra things to this list you have.
All right.
We are not leaving, I don't imagine, for a couple of days. I think we're going to stick around here and help the mayor out with some things around town. But for now, I am in dire need of what Yazgash has called Tritos.
Oh, okay. Well, what type are you looking for?
I have a wolf. He is my best friend, and he needs dinner.
Oh, all right. Well, give me just a second.
And she bustles over to one of the series of shelves where you see it's all kind of various like dried jerky and sausages and...
Well, do you have a preference?
I don't know what he really likes. We're new best friends. Just a general
kind of... Let me give you a couple.
And she kind of pulls out a little paper bag and starts loading it up with... She puts in a couple pieces of different types of jerky. It's like, okay, this one's a deer jerky. This one is, made from some sort of waterfowl or, and some different kind of sausages. And she's like,
now here, you can use this to just figure out what he likes.
Excellent. Could you add that onto our running tab, or do I need to fish out my pocketbook for you?
Well, since you are planning a journey into the frontier, I can go ahead and open y'all up a tab, and as long as it's paid up before you leave town, we'll call it good.
Of course. I wouldn't even dream of anything less.
Go ahead and put that down under block.
Okay. And she pulls out a ledger book that, it seems like she kind of does this on a regular basis with the regulars who come in, and she just runs a total, and at the end of the month they settle up. And so she opens it to a fresh page, and in very, very neat handwriting, just puts at the top block and like a couple notes as to five people on an adventuring party, and kind of jots down a few notes. And
I will say, just as a little luxury on our expedition, I would deeply enjoy it if you could put a box of tea leaf tea in there, just as a taste of home.
All right. Now, and what did you say your last name was?
Yes, I am a tea leaf of the tea leaf tea company. I drink a lot of it. It tastes very much like home.
Well, I didn't know that we had a celebrity in town.
I don't know if I would use that word, but I appreciate it.
I mean, the tea leaf company, it is only the best loose leaf tea that one could ask for.
Yes, indeed.
Your family should be very proud, and you should be very proud of your family as well.
It's a living, I guess.
She seems to very much, it's kind of that, when some people talk about, like, Jeff Bezos, oh yeah, it's so successful, and, it's almost as if she's met a personal hero.
There are those who work exceedingly hard for the tea leaf company, and there are some that just don't. But I deeply appreciate your admiration. It is very kind.
Well, I say that it's an aspiration that many halfling families hold themselves to, the success of the tea leaf family and their company.
Success sometimes breeds, I can't find the word, but hatred. Sometimes I wish I had a family more like yours, just running a simple store, just having a family together and just in supporting each other's dreams and aspirations, and not forcing them to marry people just because they need their business. I mean, thank you so much. I think we're gonna go now.
Well, all right. Well, here, I'll get this wrapped up for you, and then if there is anything else that I can help you with, you just let me know, okay?
Oh, we certainly will. You have been so kind.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and I'll get your supplies together, and it'll probably take me a few days to get everything organized. I've just got a new shipment. The boys just brought it back from Ventura, so we're working on getting everything cataloged and set out on the shelves, but we'll get you straightened out.
I believe we met those boys on the platform. They were also quite helpful. You are raised quite the family.
Oh, well, thank you. I've done my best to instill good values in my boys and my girls. So we try to be an exemplary family around here.
That's well done. If you would just send word over to the hotel there across the street, when you have these things gathered together, that would just be oh so helpful.
Well, all right. Well, enjoy your stay in the last stop.
Thank you. And as she goes to hand me the bag of Treatos, I look at Zonimus too.
I will take... Yeah, of course. Zonimus takes the bag.
Wearing a pretty dress.
And of course you are. Yeah, Zonimus takes the bag, and he mouths to you, "We need to go now."
Yeah.
And he goes to the door and opens it up.
Yeah, I follow.
And holds it open. When we get outside, you think that was a good idea?
I mean, my best friend is hungry. I need to get him Treatos. Yazgash said.
So
Treatos.
Walk over to the... I'm assuming Old West town. Everything's built up. We're on a boardwalk.
Yeah, but say there's like a each location has a bit of a boardwalk. Like there's not one like completely connecting everything, but there are the elevated porches.
So I'm gonna go step off the elevation and spin around real fast before you have a chance to step off of it. So we're a little bit more eye to eye here. Where are you running from, Poppy?
I'm told
What happens if your father finds you?
I get dragged back to Venturis.
Why don't you just go? Why don't you just hop right back on that train and go right back to Venturis?
Because I do not want to.
Okay. Now, everyone in this town's going to know by sundown that the famous heiress to the Tea Leaf Tea Company is staying right across from the general store. She's traveling with 4 other people and is going to be heading out of town the next few days. So anybody wants to collect on a bounty...
My father wouldn't spend money on me.
Poppy, you know what this means? This means that tonight I'm going to have to excuse myself very awkwardly from dinner. I'm going to have to walk down here to the general store. I'm going to have to stand right there at the edge of that corner. And when that nice lady walks out that door with her little kids and locks it, I'm going to have to kill her.
You will do no such thing.
Yes. That's, I have no choice. And if I don't, she's going to go tell everyone in town, and Poppy, I don't want to have to kill the whole town. I'm tired. This has been a long day.
Poppy's face is just frozen, like when people are confronted by information like this, and they just don't even know how to respond.
His smirk gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Listen, you teasing me and Macron, and it's just not nice.
Oh. Well, does it make sense?
I understand, but I also understand that my father is not going to spend money trying to get me. He's not going to put a bounty on my head. He will find some other way to get the Sweet Gum family to support. It's a whole lot of hooey. He doesn't even like me.
Sounds very political, huh?
It is.
All right. I'm just trying to help you hide. Stay
I'll
hidden.
get a new hat.
Okay. I can't argue with that. I've worn many hats in my day.
Now, let's go give my sweet boy his dinner. And
All
we're
right.
going to walk towards the stables.
I'll turn on my heels and go with you.
All right. So, as you two begin to make your way to the stables, Gideon, Makran, you guys are making your way to the jail.
Yeah, we'll just walk up to the jail and just knock on the door. And Sheriff Bravestar, are you in?
So, the sheriff's office and the town jail, it's a small building, single room, divided down the center with iron bars to create 2 large holding cells. Entering in, you find yourself smack dab in the middle of the sheriff's office. There's 2 large wooden desks, one to the left of the room, one to the right. Behind the desk on the left side of the room, there is a large safe, so probably, for holding personal items. You see a young human man, about 20 years old. He is currently locking the cell door, where 3 very familiar-looking goblins are tucking into what could be called grub. And sitting behind the desk to the left is Sheriff Bravestar, a woman of obvious half-orc, half-elven heritage with long dark hair and a very proud air about her. As you enter, she is finishing up probably what looks like some intake forms, paperwork regarding the goblins. And she looks up and... Gideon, was it?
That's right. Sheriff Bravestar, it's a pleasure to meet you again. Just coming by, I guess, to check in on things now that you've got looks like the goblins all tucked away and making sure everything's A-okay.
Well, yes, of course. As you can see, my deputy Thomas, he's taking care of getting them nice and settled in, and the young man kind of turns and with a somewhat surprised look on his face. People usually don't just walk up into the sheriff's office without having some sort of problem. But he kind of looks and, howdy, I'm Thomas.
Hi, Thomas. Gideon Block, and my friend here is Macron Stoneshaper. And Macron's the other reason why we came by, because, of course, his family is in charge of the trains, and just to make sure everything went smoothly for the train itself.
Yeah, Riza just kind of sits back and, yes, the engineers they're in town getting some rest before the train heads out tomorrow. But, yes, as far as I know, everything's going as should be.
Macron kind of looks around because there was a mention from Mayor Amours that there was maybe the thief or attempted thief might still be here in the building. So the 2 goblins are being locked away, but maybe in the other cage, the other jail cell, was there someone else?
Yeah, I was about to say, you kind of cast your gaze around, curious as to what the mayor was talking about. So the goblins are in the holding cell to your right. To the left, you do see, sitting in the back of the cell, slumped against the wall, hat pulled down over his face to give a bit of privacy, there is what appears to be a young man. The strangest thing that you note about him, he's got his hat down kind of over his face, coat taken off and kind of used as a blanket. So he's probably been here a little bit and he's settled in for the long haul. But from underneath the hat and like you see kind of on his hands, his skin is a very reddish orange tint and he's got orange hair that kind of has an almost flame-like appearance to it, and it's just kind of the shock of very, very orange hair coming out from under this very dark hat. But he's just seems to be asleep as you kind of cast your gaze around.
Coughran kind of gives just a little nudge to Gideon, as to indicate over there.
Well, your guest here, what is he in for?
Riza looks over and says, this fine gentleman, we caught him outside of the mayor's house a couple days ago. You wouldn't know anything about him, would you?
A little bit. We would already talked to Mayor Jonathan, and he had talked about someone trying to steal his father's journal about when his father went out and explored some of the lands west of here, of the Caliban frontier.
Yeah, but say the Amorse family there, they are somewhat known throughout the region for his grandfather, I believe, was a something of a famed explorer. I don't know the particulars, but yes, before the family settled here in the last stop, they took on some expeditions. Again, you'd have to ask Jonathan for the
which we do. We're going to have dinner with him tonight. Thank you for that. I just wondered about what you know about this young man.
Not much. He hasn't spoken much, keeping a very, very tight lip. So we're letting him cool his heels until he decides he wants to come clean.
Well, I thank you for keeping an eye on him, and I don't want to overstep, so I won't interfere with your investigation. When you get some information, though, could you let us know, because I think it might be pertinent to our investigation ourselves, as we are going to be heading into the unexplored lands west of here.
Well, I'll say that's a mighty big task.
It is. We have actually been hired by the Black Hand Rail Company to explore the lands, to map it out, as it were, to hopefully expand even further out into the Caliban frontier.
She looks a little conflicted when you say that. Just kind of drums her fingers on the table. Well, you seem like a good lot, and I do wish you well, but the only thing I'll say is that in my time, I've seen a lot of changes out here. Some for the good, some for the worse. I've got my opinions about the Black Hands clan and the United Dwarven clans, and out of respect for your friends, I won't say too much, but I would be cautious with the things you decide to do and the places you decide to go.
Thank you for that. And one of the things I would like to do is I want to make sure that we don't overstep our authority. We want to me personally, I don't just want to map those areas. I want to bring a little bit of law and order to the area, to kind of work like you would here in town, except for maybe out in the frontier. But now what the Black Hands do with this area, I can't do anything. That's not my thing. All I can do is go out there and look for what's out there and map it. I know progress always isn't easy, but maybe I can be a way to lead it into something that's good instead of something that's evil, if it were.
Well, I operate here in the last stop. This is my purveyance. These are my people. I look out for them. That's the oath that I swore when I took this badge. As she, lightly touches the silver star on her lapel. That's the oath that Thomas is working towards taking. We're here to defend people and make sure that their needs are being met. Now, your desires, Mr. Block, they're all well and good, but you have to ask yourself, is the type of law and order that you're wanting to bring, how's that going to sit with people who have lived here in the Caliban for nigh upon memory? What do the elves care for the type of law and order that comes out of Venturis? How does the Orcish traditions jive with your idea of what makes a civilized society?
Well, I think a civilized society is about sometimes bringing to people what they need and letting people mix in cultures. I think there's nothing wrong with that. And we go out and meet. We're not trying to change them or in any way, shape, or form, but we're trying to maybe bring a little bit of civilization out to this area. That's what this town is all about. This town didn't exist when I was last here, when I lived here in the Caliban frontier. It's been built up since then. Is it bad that the last stop is here? I wouldn't say so. I think it's fantastic that it's here. But it had to have started somewhere.
Mr. Gideon, it all does start somewhere. But sometimes we do have to ask ourselves, when we have noble intentions, what consequences do those have? Yes, the Black Hands Rail Company has brought opportunities to the last stop and has helped create us and make us what we are. But at the same time, she looks over to the three goblins who are eating probably is one of the first good meals that they might have had in a while, and they cheeks are stuffed and they kind of look back up at you, and Twinkle Toes gives you a very, very rude gesture before turning back to his meal. Progress and opportunity sometimes do not come equally to all people, so be very careful with the decisions you make, because you don't know what's going to come down the line and what problems are going to come when you think you have a solution. And that's all I'm going to say.
And I sure do appreciate it. And one of the most important things I got to say is, in essence, I kind of want your blessing here as we go in, if we feel like we can turn to you in times of need. So you're the most experienced one here. I've just been a private investigator in Venturis for the past 20 years. I've done my own thing. It worked on my own. This is going to be my first time to do what I'm doing. And I would hope that, in essence, I can always turn to you when I've got a question of whether or not what I'm doing is right, wrong, because I'm going to make some mistakes. And you obviously know what you're doing. I would much rather have you as a person I could turn to almost as a mentor, make sure we do this right.
The fact that you're doing that shows that you do have a streak of common sense in you. Now, I cannot necessarily give my blessing. I am an agent of Daga, and I am a member of the Silver Stars. I wouldn't call it a blessing, Gideon. I would just extend my hand to you in friendship and in respect for the fact that you are willing to ponder these questions.
And I go and I shake her hand.
Yeah, and she offers her hand out to you, and it's a very firm, almost as if she is kind of squeezing just a little bit to make her point.
And I meet her dead in the eye. I don't blink, not out of any kind of a challenge, more of just an understanding of two people who hopefully can at some point have the same ideal in what they're wanting to do here.
Yeah, she meets your gaze before just closing her eyes and giving you a brief nod, and there'll be opportunities for us to speak more about philosophical questions. And Thomas kind of pipes up and just, Riza, are you trying to take on another deputy? Am I not good enough for you? Thomas, hush. Get back to your chores.
So while that conversation is going on, Macron is trying really hard to be formal and pay attention and do the right thing. But a few sentences in, this just starts to feel more and more like a dwarven society meeting. And it's just like, and pretty soon they start talking about law and order and establishment. And it's just like... And so if anyone was paying really close attention, he kind of drifts back over to the side, to the jail cell, where this red-skinned, orange flame-haired looking guy is sitting, and he's just studying and looking. The curiosity has won. It's got the better of him, and he's just right there. Maybe he even kind of crouches down a little bit looking at that guy. Is there anything that would, tick in his memory as far as like, is the guy just really bad sunburnt, or, anything like that might give him a hint to ancestry or something?
I would take a history check,
Cool.
or I would also give you Arcana.
Okay, so he'll roll with a modified 19 on Arcana.
Okay. So, in your arcane studies, one of the things that you learned about was elementals, and specifically that there are the 4 elemental planes, which are earth, air, water, and fire. Each of those planes has unique denizens that call them home, and sometimes when a mommy loves a daddy a lot, and a human really, really loves one of these certain types of elementals, specifically, in this case, it would be an Ifrit, then sometimes children are born that have elements of the 2 parents and are often referred to as genasi.
These things are clicking in Mockran's head, and he is just like, oh, wow, like steam and whistles. Oh my gosh, like this could be, and he kind of looks back over his shoulder, and they're like, society not overstepping our bounds.
Silver stars.
And he's just looking at these bars are in the way, and curiosity is just totally enwrapped him now, and his hand drifts down to that pocket on his vest, and he mumbles a little thing, and if anyone maybe is paying attention, there is just the slightest shimmery shape that drifts out from his hand over into the jail cell toward this person, and you might see just the faintest whisper of like a spectral hand touch the edge of the cloak and try to pull it back. He's cast Mage Hand.
Okay.
Just as gently as he can. He's trying to pull it back. I mean, like, he wants to see what more is going on here.
So immediately as your mage hand just sneaks into this cell and starts to kind of try and pull this man's duster off, very quickly his hand shoots out and grabs it, holds it a little harder, and then he lifts up the hat just to kind of give a look as to who was disturbing him. And he sees you kind of crouched down. You see these eyes, and they're a brilliant yellow, and, very much looking at you, just... Now, who are you, what disturbing a man's sleep?
And Mockran's just like, you can see him, he opens his mouth and nothing comes out for a second. And he takes a deep breath, looks back over his shoulder again at the 2 of them talking, and maybe this is about the time they're shaking hands. I don't know as far as our time frame goes, and he just says, my name's Coughran. And he looks back over his shoulder again and says, we might have things in common.
Oh, do we now? Now, what would I have in common with a dwarf like yourself?
I'm taking a guess that perhaps you have a connection to elementals.
Maybe I do, maybe I don't. What's it to you?
I'm trying to learn such things. It's important to me.
Is it now?
Aye.
Well, it's hard for me to do much sitting in this jail cell as I am. How about we help one another?
So it's sitting on a 1 and it rolled over to 19. So maybe perhaps due to the influence of Zonimus, Coughran understands this. He's like, oh, wait a minute. This is trickery. And so he thinks for a minute and he tries to think to himself, okay, so now what would Zonimus do? And so then he says, well, partner, we could probably trade. I think you've got some information, and let's just say I could find some keys.
I like the way you think.
So, word on the street is that you were trying to steal some things from the mayor's family.
You've got it all wrong, Coughran. They got the wrong guy. I just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm just an honest traveler. I was just passing through, and they've pinned this crime on me. They are so convinced of my guilt that they've locked me up here for several days now. Personally, I just like to be on my way.
What was the crime?
They're accusing me of breaking into the mayor's house, trying to steal some journal or something. I don't have much interest in the personal belongings of some hoity-toity mayor and some hoity-toity civilized city.
And again, Coughran's thinking, okay, what does Zonimus do? He always answers a question with another dang question. So Coughran says, what's so special about a book?
You tell me.
Well, this ain't nothing I don't already know. And he kind of looks back over his shoulder again, sees what's going on with Gideon and Sheriff Bravestar, and says, well, if you think of anything, let me know. And his hand, which was kind of holding a weird position right at the edge of the bars, almost like he was doing like that hand puppet, type of motion or whatever. He just relaxes that. And if anyone happens to notice that slight whispery shape that might have been just off to the left of this guy's head or whatever, just, is gone.
Neat trick.
It can be a little helpful.
He just kind of leans back and, like I said, Makran, I'm an innocent man, unfairly accused. I don't know what's going on.
And so is there would it be perception? Is there he can kind of try to sense this motive about whether he's telling the truth or not?
Insight.
Yeah. That is a modified 8.
Modified 8. You believe every word coming out of this gentleman's mouth.
Yep.
Totally. He is.
That would be Makran right there.
You feel so bad because it seems legit. The sheriff just said that they caught him. Doesn't necessarily mean he did the crime. And man, he's been locked up here for several days, and who knows?
Makran is thinking in the back of his head, even as the player, I almost said this out loud as he was describing that. But Makran's thinking in the back of his head, oh man, don't I know it? Like, you have just one little mistake that happens, and then everybody blames you.
Everybody blames you. It's all your fault. Blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so you believe his story. As of right now, you have no reason not to believe his story.
Right. Well, he again, dispels, lets his concentration fade off of Mage Hand, and just kind of, gives the guy in the cage a kind of an affirmative nod of we'll see what we can work out type of motion. Maybe turns back around just in time to see Gideon and the sheriff shaking hands.
Yeah, this gentleman just leans back in the position he was in before, lowers his hat down once again, and just settles in to maybe catch a little more shut-eye.
Sheriff, I thank you for your time, and if we can be of any service whatsoever, we are currently staying at the Long Rest Hotel.
I'll probably see you. I take dinner there with my sister.
Oh, good. Well, then we'll look forward to seeing you. We're going to have dinner tonight with Mayor Jonathan, and if you think of anything, any way we can help. We don't want to do this without you being a part of it. We're not sneaking around. We're not trying to do this in the cover of darkness. We want to do this in the bright light, in Daga's light, because we believe this is important to not only bring a little bit of civilization, but maybe bring a little bit of her message of light and justice to sometimes an unjust world.
I'll keep that in mind, Mr. Gideon, and I do thank you for your offer. I'll have to mull it over a little bit and chew on it some.
In the meantime, you have yourself a fantastic Makran.
Yes, sir.
He
kind of spins, fully turns around, not just his head, but turns his back to the cell, almost like he got caught with something. Yes, sir.
You ready to get yourself a drink, my friend?
That sounds like a wonderful idea.
Very good. I nod and say, Sheriff, Deputy Thomas, we thank you for your time. You have a great evening.
And you as well, Mr. Block. We'll see you around town.
Howdy friends, Michael Cross here, taking just a few moments away from Red Dirt DnD, asking you to become a patron of this podcast. Your support means we can add a lot of extra niceties to the show in the form of artwork and music, as well as supporting our cast and crew. Patrons get early access to content as well as bonus material, along with access to our Discord server. You can even get an invite to monthly Q&A sessions and DM classes, maybe even a 2-hour game session with our very own Dungeon Master, Ash King. We have 6 different monthly levels to choose, ranging from $5 to $100. Head over to patreon.com/reddirtdnd right now to show your support for this new podcast. Now, back to Tales from the Caliban Frontier.
So, as Makran and Gideon are finishing up at the town jail, Xanimus and Poppy
Going to the stables.
Going to the stables.
With my bag of Cheetos.
It's your big bag o' Doritos.
Before, I assume we'll probably run into Yazgash. But I'm going to, take my nice skirt and kind of flip it up, like this, the top layer of that skirt, so that it doesn't get dirty.
Yeah, hitch it up some and tuck it in your belt.
Just that top pretty layer. He can get my petticoats dirty.
Kind of like that saloon girl look, sort of, where you tucked it in. You just see the petticoat underneath.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we can see the boots. In
in my little boots.
Your traveling boots.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I just didn't want to get my nice dress dirty.
Oh, of course. So, making your way to the stables, you find that Mazaga, the orc blacksmith, has moved on to shoeing a horse. So, you've got this horse, you have her, and she's working on the hooves. Yazgash is also here, assisting her wife. And Yazgash is very gently, purposefully stroking this horse's nose. You notice almost a far-off look to her eyes. It's almost as if she's communing with this horse. You, Poppy, it especially stands out to you.
I'm super jealous.
Yeah, as she's, again, sitting there kind of stroking, along the bridge of the nose, just very, very gently with a couple of fingers, before she turns her head over to her wife and just says, Maza, she is saying that there is a stone in her other hoof that is giving her troubles. Be sure that is removed. And Mazaga just gives a gentle grunt of acknowledgement as she finishes up with the hoof that she was working on and moves on to one of the other hooves very, very gently, picking it up and cleaning it out, filing it down, and she does indeed, there's the rock. And just flicks it off to the side. The goblin-trained wolf, your BFF,
My best friend.
is laying not too far away from these two orcs, kind of watching them with just curious intent of, a dog that's been, it's been told to, lie down, stay there, but it's just curiously head tilting back and forth, at least until you approach. At that point, it lets out a happy bark, getting up from its position and runs over to, kind of come over and just snuffles you because you smell different.
I am clean.
You are clean. But, and as it does this, you do see Yazgash kind of, Oh, hello, welcome back.
We have procured some Cheetos for my best friend.
Excellent. Here, I'll let you, and Yazga kind of takes the reins that she'd been holding to this horse's halter, ties it off so that it doesn't go anywhere. Maza just kind of, here we go again. Yazgash, comes over and ruffles the wolf behind the ear. So, what have you brought?
And I just motion for Zonimus to give her the bag.
Give her the bag.
Zonimus gives her the bag.
She takes it and opens it up. Yes, no, this is exactly what you need to be feeding them. Yes.
Good. I saw that you knew about the rock in that horse's shoe, presumably because that horse told you about said rock in said shoe.
She did.
I would also like to speak to my wolf friend, and I feel like I could do it if I tried really hard. Do you have any advice?
She looks at you very, very intently, kind of looking you over.
Going to use Druidcraft on just the dust at my feet and make it look like a little running wolf.
And she speaks to you in Druidic. Do you too listen for the cries of our mother?
Indeed I do, I think. It's a new thing.
It is fine, little one. Once you start hearing the cries and heeding them, you will understand the will of our great mother. I will teach you.
That would be just so helpful. I would really appreciate that, because I think that he is a living being that has lived his own life. I don't feel like I'm in any position to give him a name. I feel like he probably has his own name, and I would like to call him by that name. But I don't know how to ask him yet. But I think if I tried really hard, maybe sat with him for 10 minutes or so.
Come here and I will show you. And she takes your hand and kind of leads you over, and she sits down on the ground. And she has this really nice, impressive, robe made out of, as you're noticing it now, it's made out of a light, kind of gauzy material. It has embroidery along it, and it's various kind of druidic symbols. She sits down and invites you to sit with her, and she motions for the wolf to come over. He trots over and sits down and flops down.
Has he had his bath yet?
He has.
Good. He smells good.
He smells much better. She says to you, now, take your hand and just set it very gently on. And she touches that spot kind of right between his eyes.
I take my little hand. And I put it right there on his little face.
Yeah, and her hand comes over yours. It's big, she's a big orc, so it just envelops, like, your hand just disappears under hers. But it's a very gentle touch, very light, very motherly. And she takes your other hand so that you can really feel the energy as it flows for these 10 minutes that you spend together. And she very gently kind of whispers these words of power to you so that you can learn them. After about 10 minutes, you get the inkling, because you're feeling the energy between the three of you, because you're a connected circuit. And after a few moments, you get this kind of very gentle, because again, it's the mind of an animal, so it's wolf thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
But you get the visions and smells of a prairie fire. And you get the sense that, because wolves among themselves have names, but it's not like we think of names. It's a certain sound, a certain feeling. You get the sense that his mother used wildfire, was his name.
Red Dirt D&D is Ash King as our Dungeon Master, Brooke Bullock as Macron Stoneshaper, Johnny Payne as Zonimus Dinar, Kiri Hester as Poppy Tealeaf, and I'm Michael Cross as Gideon Block. Our sound producer is Mark Coughran. Our theme music was created by the cinemagician P.J. Castillo. Our incidental music comes from Jeffrey McBride, and our sound effects courtesy of tabletopaudio.com. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and our new home on the interwebs, reddirtdnd.com. We here at Red Dirt D&D could really use your help in getting the word out about us. If you like what you've heard, make sure and subscribe, rate us, and leave a comment. Also, tell your friends about Red Dirt D&D. You can also support the show at patreon.com/reddirtdnd. We have several giving levels to help us grow up big and strong. And finally, a special thank you to KOSU for giving us a platform to do what we love so much. Join us next time as we go deeper into the Caliban frontier.